My phone buzzed on my desk in my Nashville office. I looked down and a text lit up the screen. I could feel my stomach twist. The message was from my brother and it said, "You're not worthy of coming to my engagement party." Just like that, I was cut out of something I had spent months planning. I felt shocked and hurt. My brother Ethan, the one I loved and had worked so hard for, had just said I wasn't good enough to come. I had spent 3 months planning a perfect party for him. I had stayed up late at night sketching table arrangements, calling caterers and organizing decorations, all with my own money, just to make his big day amazing. And now with one text he had made me feel like I didn't matter at all. I read the text again, my hands shaking. There was no reason given, no explanation. He just said I wasn't welcome. My first thought was to call him and demand an answer. But then I stopped. I put the phone down, took a deep breath and forced myself to smile. A plan was forming in my mind. In 1 week I would be on a plane to Hawaii, leaving his precious engagement party behind. And when the day came and everything went wrong as I knew it might, my phone would light up with calls I wouldn't answer. But that part was still in the future. Let me take a step back and explain how all of this started, because it's a story you wouldn't believe. But first, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our amazing community. Your support means the world to me and my family. Sparkling heart also, drop a comment below and let me know where you're watching from and how you're enjoying the story. I love hearing from all of you. Now let's get started. Ethan's text still glared at me on the screen. For 3 months, I had poured my heart into planning his engagement party. I wanted every detail to be perfect. I had searched all over Nashville to find the perfect venue, and I finally chose a fancy downtown hotel with a rooftop view of the city skyline. It was beautiful and I knew it would make Ethan's special day unforgettable. I had spent late nights sketching how the tables would look. I mixed rustic country style with elegant touches. There were mason jars with little fairy lights, a nod to our Tennessee roots. I had called in favors from Teresa Bennett's catering company, famous for their southern food. I worked with Felix Donovan to make custom decorations, from flower arches to engraved name cards. And I had Marco Santoro, the hotel manager, as my go-to person to make sure every chair, table and decoration was in the right place. I did all of this for free because Ethan is my brother and family is supposed to matter. Even though I had a busy job as a cultural event planner, I stayed up late every night to make sure the party would be perfect. My inbox was full of contracts and emails from vendors, and my phone buzzed constantly with confirmations. I worked tirelessly to make sure everything would shine on Ethan's special day. And then I got the text saying I wasn't welcome. My chest felt tight, but I didn't cry. Instead, I picked up the phone and called my mom, Margaret Harper. I wanted her to see how unfair this was. "Mom, did you know about Ethan's text?" I asked, my voice shaking slightly. She sighed. "Lila, it's his big day. He's under a lot of stress. Don't make a fuss," she said softly but firmly. I couldn't believe it. My mom was taking his side and acting like my feelings didn't matter at all. I hung up stunned. How could she dismiss everything I had done? I had spent so much time, money, and energy making this party perfect, and she was just brushing it aside. I called Ethan next. I had to hear it from him. "Ethan, what's this about?" I asked, keeping my voice steady. His voice was short and annoyed. "Look, Lila, my fiancée Sabrina and her friends want a certain kind of party. You don't fit. It's not personal," he said. My blood boiled. I had spent months making sure everything was perfect and now I wasn't even allowed to come. He talked about limited seats and keeping things classy, but every word felt like a sharp jab. It was clear that Sabrina wanted her friends front and center and I was just not part of the plan. "I'm your sister, Ethan," I said, my voice rising. "I've been working so hard for your party and now you're saying I don't belong." He sighed as if I were the problem. "Lila, just drop it. It's my choice," he said. I hung up, my hands trembling. 3 months of my life, all spent planning and preparing, had been tossed aside. I could have screamed or begged, but instead, a quiet determination filled me. I wasn't going to let them push me around. Later that evening, Mom called again. "Lila, you need to support your brother," she said. "This is about family, not your feelings." I almost laughed. Family? Where was that family when Ethan kicked me out of his day? I told her I wasn't coming. Not as a guest, not as anything. Mom gasped. "You're being selfish," she snapped. I hung up, my heart pounding. They thought they could guilt me into submission, but they were wrong. I wasn't going to sit back quietly. 3 days later, my dad, Richard Harper, called while I was sorting through vendor papers in my office. "Lila, we need to talk about the engagement gift," he said. I froze. I already had a feeling what this was about. He explained that Ethan and Sabrina were expecting a big gesture, a $3,000 contribution toward a luxury honeymoon. My jaw clenched. I had already spent so much time and money on the party. "I'm not paying that," I said flatly. "I've done enough." Dad's voice got harder. "Lila, this is for family. You can't just say no. Your brother deserves it. You should be proud to help," he said. Proud? After being told I wasn't even welcome? "Dad, I'm not giving a dime when I'm not even invited to the party," I said. He scoffed like I was being petty. "You're making this harder than it needs to be. Just do your part," he said. I hung up, my pulse racing. Mom and Dad both cared more about the party than my feelings. I wasn't just hurt. I was furious. They expected me to pay for their celebration while they pushed me aside. I tried to focus on my work, but then my phone pinged with a new Instagram notification. It was a post from my cousin Vivian Cross at a fancy bar in Nashville called the Bluebird. The picture showed her with Ethan and a crowd of their friends, all smiling under neon lights. The caption read, "Best bachelor party ever." My stomach dropped. I wasn't just uninvited to the engagement party. I was out of the whole celebration. Vivian hadn't even mentioned me. Not a single text, not a phone call. I clicked through the stories, watching them toast, laugh, and plan the party I had built from the ground up. Every smile felt like a slap to my face. I texted Vivian, keeping it short. "Hey, saw your post. Was I supposed to be there?" Her reply came fast, too casual. "Oh, Lila, it was just a small thing. Didn't think you'd care." I had stayed up nights coordinating their vendors, double-checking the menus, making sure every detail was perfect. And now they acted like I didn't exist. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, tempted to type back, but I stopped. They didn't understand. None of them did. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the stack of contracts on my desk. My name was on every one. The venue, the catering, the decorations. I had called in favors, spent my own money, and worked tirelessly. And still they treated me like I was disposable. Dad's demand for $3,000 and Vivian's Instagram post kept playing over and over in my mind. They weren't just excluding me. They were trying to use me. I had already done more than enough, and they had made it clear I didn't belong. A decision started to form, one I hadn't fully admitted to myself yet. I wasn't going to beg for their approval. I was going to take control of the situation. 1 week before the party, I met my best friend Jade Monroe at a coffee shop near Music Row. The place was busy, full of musicians, tourists, and the hum of ambition, but I barely noticed. I slid into a booth, opened my laptop with all the vendor papers, and told her everything. "Jade, they're treating me like I'm nothing," I said, my voice low but steady. I explained how Ethan had excluded me from his engagement party, how Mom took his side, how Dad demanded money, and how Vivian posted about the bachelor party without me. Jade listened carefully, sipping her latte, her eyes narrowing. When I finished, she leaned forward. "Lila, you've been running yourself ragged for them. Why are you still managing their party?" I hesitated. I hadn't really thought about stopping. I had been so caught up in proving my worth and holding on to family that I hadn't even considered walking away. Jade pointed at my laptop. "You signed all the contracts, right?" she asked. "With Marco Santoro, the person in charge of the place, Teresa Bennett, the person who brings the food, and Felix Donovan, the person who makes everything look pretty?" I nodded. Every paper had my name on it. I worked so hard, and everyone knew I was responsible. "Then you have the power," she said, her voice strong and firm. "You don't have to do anything for them. Let your brother figure it out." Her words hit me like a little spark. I had spent months planning everything. Marco promised the rooftop would be perfect. Claire made sure the food was just right. Felix drew the pretty flower decorations. I had done all of this because I loved them. But love wasn't enough. Jade was right. I didn't have to carry their problems anymore. I opened my email. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. "What if I just stop?" I said softly, almost like I was testing the idea out loud. Jade smiled, a big proud smile. "Yes. Let them fix their own mess. You deserve better." I felt a little lightness in my chest, like a fog lifting from my mind. I didn't need to beg for a place at a table that didn't care about me. I started typing emails to Marco, Claire, and Felix. I made sure my words were polite but strong. I said I was stepping back from planning the party because of personal reasons and my brother would take over. I didn't owe them a long explanation, but I wanted to stay professional and kind. Marco replied almost immediately. Lila, you are the glue here. Are you sure about this? He asked. I was sure. Clara called next. Her voice sounded worried. We are on track because of you. He's not ready, she said. I thanked her, but I didn't change my mind. Felix sent a text. Are you okay? I didn't answer. My choice was made. That night, I sat in my apartment staring at my phone. No calls from my family, no sorries, just silence. I opened a travel website and looked at flights to Oahu, Hawaii. I had thought about it before, but now it felt real. I wasn't running away. I was choosing to take care of myself. I found a flight leaving Nashville in the morning and landing in Honolulu that afternoon. I pictured myself on Wiki Beach, far away from the mess I was leaving behind. My finger hovered over the book button. My heart was racing with excitement and a little bit of fear. I clicked it. A confirmation email popped up. I was really going. I called Jade to tell her. I'm out, I said, my voice lighter than it had been in weeks. I'm going to Hawaii. She laughed happily. Good for you, Lila. Let them deal with their own party. I hung up, feeling lighter. My family thought they could use me and then forget me. But I wasn't going to play their game anymore. I wasn't just stepping back. I was walking away, letting them handle the problems they created. The next morning, I sat at Nashville Airport with a coffee. My boarding pass for Honolulu was in my pocket. My suitcase was packed for Oahu. The airport was busy and noisy, but I felt calm, almost weightless. I had left my brother's chaos behind. My phone was quiet, but I knew it wouldn't stay that way. They would soon see what they lost. Back in Nashville, the rooftop party began to fall apart. Marco, the venue manager, called my brother early that morning. Your setup is a mess, he said, frustrated. Half the tables didn't have decorations. The pretty flowers Felix had drawn were gone, replaced with cheap balloons that didn't match the theme. Guests were arriving and the staff didn't know what to do. Marco tried calling me, but I had already said I was done. Your brother doesn't know what he's doing, he texted. I didn't reply. I had warned them. Clara, the caterer, had her own problems. The food I had planned was all wrong. Instead of hot barbecue sliders, cornbread, and peach cobbler, they got cold sandwiches. The vegetarian food was mixed up. Guests were unhappy and even posted on social media about the bad food. Clara left a voicemail for my brother, sounding upset. Lila had everything under control. What happened? He didn't have an answer. He was trying to manage the team all by himself. Felix, the decorator, was also confused. The name cards I had made were missing and the lights were not ready. The rooftop looked dark and unfinished. Guests whispered about the half-finished decorations and some even left early. My brother and his fiancée were trying to keep everyone calm, but they were arguing in front of the guests. This is your fault, she yelled. You said you could handle it. He blamed her for pushing me out. Meanwhile, I was waiting at the airport gate. My phone started buzzing. First a text from Mom. Lila, the party's a mess. Call me. Then Dad, where are you? Fix this. My brother sent a bunch of messages, each one more desperate than the last. Lila, the vendors are freaking out. You need to help. I looked at my coffee cooling in my hand. They had ignored me for months and didn't care. Now they wanted me to fix everything. I silenced my phone and put it in my bag. I was not their safety net anymore. As I boarded the plane, another text came from an unknown number, probably a guest. This party is a joke. Where's the planner? I didn't reply. The flight started moving and I leaned back, imagining the chaos in Nashville. My brother and his fiancée were probably still arguing. Marco, Clara, and Felix were trying to fix things, but without me it was hopeless. The rooftop party, which was supposed to be perfect, was full of mistakes. Empty tables, wrong food, bad decorations. I felt a tiny bit of guilt, but it quickly went away. They had made their choices and so had I. I thought about what Jade said. I had the power. And for once I was using it for myself. The plane engines roared. I closed my eyes, ready for Honolulu. My phone buzzed again in my bag, but I ignored it. They could call all they wanted. I was already gone. When the plane landed in Honolulu, I felt the warm ocean breeze as I stepped outside. Oahu welcomed me with soft air and the sound of waves, so different from Nashville. I checked into a small hotel near the beach. My room looked out over the blue water. For the first time in months, I could breathe easy. No emails from vendors. No demands from my family. I was here to take care of myself, not fix anyone else's problems. The next morning, I walked on Wiki Beach. The sand was soft under my feet. Tourists took pictures, surfers rode waves, and I let the ocean take my anger away. I wasn't ready to forgive my family yet, but I wanted to let go of the anger. I signed up for a meditation class at a quiet Buddhist temple. The teacher, Kaya, taught us to breathe and stay calm. Focus on your truth, she said. I sat cross-legged, eyes closed, trying to let go of the hurt. My brother's rejection, mom ignoring me, dad pressuring me, my cousin not caring. It wasn't easy, but every breath felt like a little step toward peace. Back at the hotel, I started a journal. I wrote about the months I spent planning a party that didn't want me and the sadness I felt. But I also wrote about the ocean, the temple, and how it felt to be seen and cared for. Writing helped me feel better. I wasn't crying or yelling. I was rebuilding. My phone buzzed sometimes. Texts from mom, dad, even my brother. But I didn't open them. Their worries didn't matter here. I was done being their problem solver. On the third day, Jade texted me a link. Check this out, she wrote. It was an article she had published online called Event Planner Excluded from Family's Big Day Speaks Out. My heart raced as I read it. Jade, my best friend and a journalist, had interviewed me before I left Nashville. She told my story about how I planned a perfect party but was pushed aside. She didn't say my family's names, but everyone could understand the truth. I felt proud. Someone had seen my hard work. Someone had written down everything I did to make that party beautiful. And now the whole world could see it too, even if my family couldn't appreciate it. I felt lighter and stronger, like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I wasn't just free from the party chaos. I was free from their expectations too. I spent the next few days exploring Oahu. I walked along the beaches every morning, letting the waves wash over my feet. I ate ice cream while watching the sunset. I talked to people from all over the world. I even tried surfing for the first time, falling a lot but laughing even more. Every day felt like a new adventure. At the temple, I kept learning how to be calm and happy on my own. I learned that sometimes, you have to let people deal with their own problems and focus on yourself. It wasn't selfish. It was smart. I started to feel like I belonged to myself and not anyone else's mistakes. By the end of the week, I felt like a new person. I was not angry anymore, or at least not as much. I knew my family would realize what they had lost, but that didn't matter. I had my peace. I had the ocean, the sand, and a new feeling of freedom. And for the first time in a long time, I was truly happy. The article was honest and real, and it was spreading fast. I couldn't believe how many people were reading it. I looked at the comments. There were hundreds of them. Strangers from all over the world were sharing their own stories. They talked about feeling unimportant or about choosing to take care of themselves instead of doing what other people wanted. One person wrote, "You're an inspiration, Lila." Another said, "Don't let them dim your light." I smiled. I had never met any of these people, but they were cheering me on. My inbox started to fill up with messages. Some people just wanted to say they supported me. Others asked for advice about how to say no when people were being too demanding or unfair. For the first time in a long time, I didn't feel alone. Jade's article had turned my pain into something bigger. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was a message for anyone who had ever been pushed aside, ignored, or treated unfairly. I texted Jade back. "You're amazing. Thank you." He sent a heart emoji in reply. I didn't need any more words. I wanted to keep exploring Oahu, the island I had gone to for a break. I rented a bike and rode along the beautiful coast. The wind blew through my hair and the waves sparkled in the sun. I stopped at little food trucks to try shaved ice and poke bowls. The island felt alive. Palm trees swayed in the breeze. Music from ukuleles floated out of open-air bars. Felt like a little gift just for me. One evening, I joined a sunset yoga class on the beach. The sky turned pink as the sun went down. I stretched in different poses and felt my body grow stronger with every movement. I wrote a lot in my journal. My pages were filled with thoughts about what I deserved, not what my family thought I should do. I realized I wasn't hiding from my problems. I was learning to see my own worth. My phone kept buzzing. I had missed calls from mom, dad, and my cousin. There were even a few calls from numbers I didn't recognize, probably people who had come to the party. I didn't answer any of them. Their messages piled up, but I didn't care to read them. I had spent too long trying to make my family happy. Now I was choosing myself. Jade's article showed me that my story mattered. I wasn't wrong for walking away. The support from strangers online felt more real than my family's last-minute messages. I wasn't ready to confront them yet, and maybe I never would be. For now, Oahu was enough. 2 weeks later, I returned to Nashville. My apartment was quiet and peaceful, just like it had been when I left. Oahu had given me clarity. Being away from my family had allowed me to think clearly and rebuild myself. I set my suitcase down. My clothes still smelled faintly of the ocean. I checked my phone. A flood of notifications waited. Missed calls, texts, voicemails. Most of them were from Mom, Dad, and my cousin. I didn't open any of them. Their words couldn't undo what had already happened. I was ready to move forward, not backward. That evening, Jade called me. Her voice sounded excited. "Lila, you won't believe what happened," she said. She told me that my brother and his fiancée had called off their engagement. The party had been a disaster. Guests complained about the food, the decorations, and the dim lighting. They argued that night in front of everyone, and it showed that their relationship had problems. Sabrina had walked out, blaming my brother for messing things up. My brother blamed her for pushing me away. I listened calmly. I wasn't surprised. They had built their big celebration on my work, my effort, and my care. Then they threw me aside. I didn't feel happy that they split up, but I also didn't feel guilty. I had given them my time, my skills, and my heart. They had thrown it away. Jade asked if I wanted to reach out to my brother. I shook my head, though she couldn't see me. "No," I said. "I'm done trying to fix things." She didn't push me. She just said she was proud of me. Her support, unlike my family's, was steady and true. It reminded me what real loyalty felt like. My family kept trying to reach me. Mom left soft, worried voicemails asking if we could meet. Dad sent texts saying we should talk like adults. My cousin left a vague message that sounded like they were blaming me for the party. I deleted all the messages. I had spent years bending to their demands, trying to make them happy even when it hurt me. No more. I wasn't angry. I was calm and determined. Cutting them off wasn't about being mean. It was about protecting myself. I blocked their numbers one by one. Each time I tapped block, I felt a little lighter. My apartment, which used to feel stressful, became peaceful again. Jade's articles kept circulating online, and they changed my life. My inbox was now full of messages from people asking for help with events. A music festival organizer wanted me to plan their spring event. A couple planning a wedding reached out because they were inspired by how I stood up for myself. Even a company hosting a big downtown party wanted to hire me. I met them at a nice office near the Cumberland River. I shared my ideas for beautiful decorations with a little southern charm. They loved my ideas and signed a big contract right away. My biggest job ever. Jade's words had turned my pain into opportunity. They showed the world what I was worth, not just my family. I started journaling again, but this time it wasn't about pain. I wrote about growing stronger, about learning to love myself. I wrote about the courage it took to walk away from people who didn't see my value. Every new contract felt like proof. Not just that I was talented, but that I had made the right choice to stop asking for approval. I wasn't the same Lila who had spent months working on a party that didn't appreciate me. I was someone who knew her worth. I had built boundaries stronger than any floral arch I had ever made. Looking back, the lesson became clear. Respecting myself meant letting go of people who didn't respect me, even if they were family. My brother, mom, dad, and cousin expected me to carry their burdens and stay quiet when they hurt me. I had tried to be the perfect daughter and sister, but being perfect came at too high a cost. Walking away was hard, but it was the right thing to do. I didn't need their approval anymore. I had my work, my story, and a group of strangers who lifted me up when my family didn't. I learned that self-respect is the most important thing. Without it, I would still be chasing their approval and losing myself in the process. Now every morning I wake up feeling lighter. I didn't have to worry about making everyone else happy. I could focus on myself, my dreams, and my life. I rode my bike around the city, drank coffee while reading the sunrise, and wrote down my ideas for future events. I felt proud of what I had done for myself. Sometimes I thought about my family. I didn't feel angry, but I also didn't feel sad. I just felt free. Free to make my own choices, free to say yes to what I wanted and no to what I didn't. I learned that saying no is not mean, It is brave. It is loving yourself. I stayed in touch with Jade. We would call and talk about life, work, and all the new adventures coming my way. He became my cheerleader, my guide, and my friend. I realized that real friends, real support doesn't always come from family. It comes from people who truly care, who lift you up, and who never ask you to dim your light. As months went by, my work continued to grow. I helped plan weddings, parties, and festivals. People who had read Jade's articles sent me messages, saying how my story helped them stand up for themselves. Each time I felt stronger. Each time I knew I had made the right choice. Sometimes I would sit on my balcony and look at the stars. I remembered how heavy life used to feel when I was trying to please everyone else. Now I felt light, happy, and free. I had learned the value of standing up for myself, of saying, I matter too, and of never giving my power away to anyone who didn't deserve it. I finally understood that my story mattered. My choices mattered. And most of all, I mattered.